Hey there guys, I am Sonic Ghost and welcome to another bonus episode of Let's Play Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now if this video seems to be coming out of nowhere, it's because this was more of a last minute thing. I wasn't originally going to do this, but in this bonus episode, we're going to be talking about the different versions of Ocarina of Time. Originally, I was not really going to show this because I didn't think I would have too many differences here to show, but looking over it, actually, surprisingly enough, there's a lot of different things about Ocarina of Time that I do want to mention. And I'm gonna have a list on screen right now of a lot of those things. This information here is, I had the link on the top of the picture as you see, but this information here pretty much details what's the differences between the different versions of the game. Now on the N64, there was originally 3 different versions. There was the 1.0 version, which was most of the case. It was usually the golden cartridge. It was a collector's edition version, and it was the first version of Ocarina of Time to be released. Then you had the 1.1 version, which they released to fix some things. And then they had the 1.2 version they released, which fixed even more things. More of the complaints that we're getting, like, there was 2 big things they changed in 1.2 that's noticeably different. The 2 things is with the Ganondorf fight at the end, he spits out blood in 1.0 and 1.1. But in 1.2 and above, he just spits out puke. That's a really good noticeable difference. You can really tell that was changed if you play the original 1.0 or even the 1.1 versions of Ocarina of Time. You'll see a difference. And then another thing is, the Fire Temple has a little bit different music, actually, in the 1.0, 1.1 versions. Some cartridges of the 1.1 don't have this for some reason, but there was chanting going on in the Fire Temple music. In later versions, they took that chanting out. I'm not exactly sure why. I think there were some complaints coming in about the chanting, so they just took it out completely. And pretty much a lot of the other stuff were more cosmetic things, not really that big of a thing. Like, for example, one of the big cosmetic things, I don't know why they changed, was if you look at any of the blocks, or your mirror shield or whatnot, in the original N64 versions, doesn't matter which one, you're gonna see there's a crescent moon symbol on that stuff. You're gonna see a crescent moon on your mirror shield, you're gonna see it on the blocks. But for some reason, starting with the GameCube version and above, the Virtual Console does this, and from my knowledge, I do believe the 3DS version does this as well, but they changed that crescent moon symbol. So there's something different. I don't know why, but they changed it. And really, I don't really see the need of that change. In fact, if you look at the two, I prefer the crescent moon symbol. The crescent moon it looks cooler, especially on the mirror shield. So if you want to know what version of Ocarina of Time you have for your cartridge, then there's a good little trick for it. I will have up right now on screen pretty much the 3 different versions of the cartridge. I'm going to have just the description about it, but pretty much you'll have to look at your cartridge, and on the bottom of it, right below the Nintendo logo, you're going to see a code down there. It's going to say, well, this is my cartridge. I'm going to have a picture of my cartridge here as well, and mine says NUS CZLE USA. You look at that code right there. That code tells you what version of Ocarina of Time you have. My cartridge is the 1.1 version. There is 3 different versions of that code, and I have it listed up on screen, but pretty much that tells you what version of Ocarina of Time that you have for your N64. The GameCube is the GameCube version. There's only one version of that on the GameCube, even though it was released twice on like 2 different discs. It's pretty much the exact same game. And the Virtual Console version, it's pretty much the GameCube version, except they changed the button layout back to the N64, and they changed the colors of the buttons on the top of the screen back to N64. But it pretty much runs with all the updates that the GameCube version put in. So there's pretty much the gist of the differences by looks, but I want to show you guys some videos actually that I recorded of differences. And the first one we're going to go ahead and look at is, it's the glitch in Ocarina of Time where you can steal the fishing rod. It is 10 times easier to do in the 1.0 version. You can still do it in later versions, but it's a lot harder. So I go ahead and I show how to do this in the 1.0 because it's actually a pretty cool glitch. Because as well, in the 1.0 version, if you're wearing the hover boots while trying to fish, and you're above something hovering, you can still cast. And this is how you steal the fishing rod. So let's go ahead and look at that footage. Okay, so here we are, we're in the fishing pond. So let's go ahead and go fishing. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the hover boots, fish, hover a bit, and there you go, I casted, and well, I'm actually able to move around freely, because look at this. I'm crouching. I'm not supposed to be crouching like that when I'm using the R button there to pull in the lure faster. So, let's go ahead and try this again, this time moving with it and trying to get out. If you try to do this and you're holding the fishing rod, you get that message popping up, but if you go ahead and use the little hover glitch here in the original Ocarina of Time, you can walk up to the door with the fishing rod still casted, and you can leave with the fishing rod. Although, if you try using the fishing rod outside the fishing pond there, it's glitched. You can't do anything. So, it's a pretty big game-breaking glitch there. In terms of if you use that outside the fishing pond, it does nothing. But, besides that, not very much else to talk about with that glitch. Okay, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and talk about is the different music here in the Fire Temple. I've already mentioned it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again. In the original 1.0 and 1.1 versions of Ocarina of Time, there was chanting going on in the music for the Fire Temple. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the Fire Temple and let you guys listen to it. I could, if I just wanted to, go ahead and play the music instead, but I figured let's just go ahead and be authentic here and show it from the original N64 cart. When I showed the 1.0 version of this game, I don't have the original 1.0, and it's kind of hard to track down because it's a collector's edition gold cartridge, so it's going to run you a good amount of money if you're trying to buy that one. I do have the 1.1 version here. This is my original cartridge I'm playing. When I did the 1.0, I had to use a ROM, but this is the original 1.1 on the cartridge. So, yeah, there's going to be a difference in video quality, but besides that, there's not going to be a difference in the gameplay. But if you stand here long enough, just let the music start playing, and eventually they'll get to the main part of the song, and there's your chanting. I'm actually going to be silent for a second so you can hear it. Alright, so I skipped ahead here to the fight against Ganondorf to show off the final thing I want to show, which is the blood coming from him after you defeat him. So it might seem like a sudden jump cut all of a sudden from the Fire Temple to this fight, but yeah, to pretty much sum up my words from before, yeah, they changed the chanting to just original music. They took it out. I'm not exactly sure why. I haven't heard a good reason behind it that had, you know, good research behind it, but from what I've been hearing, they were changing that part of the music because they were getting some complaints about the chanting, and so they took it out to stop any further complaints. So it's probably complaints from parents. Like, I know parents are pretty upset that when you kill Ganondorf here in this phase, he spits out blood. Which honestly, I prefer the blood compared to the puke. In every version, when you see him just spitting out this green liquid, I think of puke, and it's disgusting. But when I'm playing the original 1.0 or 1.1 and I see blood, then it feels actually a little rewarding because then you know, okay, you got the job done. And you can see him in pain. When it pukes, it looks like he's just sick. It looks like he may have like a stomach bug or something, and that's disgusting. So I prefer the blood. I don't know why they really had to change it. It was probably to stop further complaints, probably from parents. But I wish I didn't. Now, one big difference I can tell here, and this is more because of hardware reasons, but in the N64 version, I don't know if it works for all of them, but I know for at least my 1.1 it does. During this fight, when you're fighting Ganondorf and you're doing your spin attack around him, there's slowdown. But that's because of the N64 hardware itself. It can't handle everything that's happening, and it's slowing down because of it. So that I can understand. So, in the GameCube, the Wii, and the 3DS versions of this game, it doesn't really have this slowdown. So that's pretty cool, that the advanced hardware took out this kind of glitch. I'm not really going to talk about the differences in the 3DS version, simply because I still haven't played the 3DS version, so I don't know all the differences. And really, it's mostly cosmetic stuff, so I don't really have to talk about it. In fact, when I was looking that stuff up, I was looking up the different features about the 3DS version, and I wasn't finding any good details about it. So, yeah, I can't really talk about it. But there you go. Ganondorf's down. You can actually hit him with a light arrow when he's doing that charge attack. And once you defeat him, he spits blood, and it looks better to me than the puke. So, that's pretty much all the differences that I had to show about the different versions of Ocarina of Time here. There's not very much else I can go over. If you want a more detailed look of the different versions of Ocarina of Time and what each different version brings to the table, I would go ahead and check out the website I use. I'm going to leave a link in the description. The site I use is jthehand.com, and it had an Ocarina of Time version guide on the site, so I'm going to leave you guys a link to it, and I suggest if you want to learn more about the different versions of Ocarina of Time, go check out that website, because it's very informational about it, and it taught me a lot of things about the different versions I never knew. So, with that, that's going to do it for this bonus episode. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.